What is up, guys? Welcome to the transparency. Sorry for the delay. Woo! Today's gonna be another fun live day. Lots of information, so I gotta get it all out there. So come on, join me. To kick things off, we're going to make sure that everybody understands what the Shanna Gardner Jared Bridegan case is all about. Yes, I'm on Annie Potts right now. Get on in here. And so this is going to be like a little recap. Do we think Shanna Gardner is involved? I'm not crazy with my thoughts, you guys. I think Mario Saldana 100% was involved in this. Okay, Mario Saldana, I believe, was involved in this. Henry Tenon involved in this. Okay, but something goes a little wacky for me in terms of like this whole all this time later, 2022, from text messages in 2015 and 2016. But Mario's crazy. Mario, I think he is crazy. And I think that, did Mario do this on his own, thinking that he was going to keep that money train, possibly by blackmail? I don't know. Something's up. Something, in my opinion, is up. And then when the cops went ahead and did what they did, wow. So the way they said they put this case together reeks. But let's know what this case is about.
Gardner was born into wealth. Her parents had money, lots of it. She was also raised in a devout Mormon home. From the outside, it seemed like she was living a very stable, normal life. Then she met a man named Jared Bridegan during a trip to Florida. Jared was also a devout Mormon. They fell in love and got married in Utah in 2010. They began their lives together in Connecticut and began raising their twins. But then they moved to Jared's hometown in Jacksonville, Florida, for the health of one of their children. It was here in Florida where life changed for Shanna. Marital problems, allegations of cheating, and actions very inconsistent with her Mormon upbringing. This led to a divorce. This also led to endless battles concerning the twins. Shanna did remarry. She met Mario Saldana at the gym where she worked out. They fell in love and got hitched. Jared also got remarried and started a family with his new wife. Then Jared was murdered. Shanna skipped the funeral and moved to Washington State without her new husband. Then the killer, Henry Tenon, was arrested. Mario was then arrested. And finally, Shanna was arrested, charged with murder, facing a potential death sentence. How was Jared murdered, and what is Shanna's alleged connection to the killing? We'll take a closer look as we investigate the murder of Jared Bridegan. I'm Vinny Politan. Thanks so much for joining us. This is an incredibly tragic story. There are children without their father. Jared Bridegan was a dad. First and foremost, a father, a family guy. Just wanted to be there for all the
cross attire police.
How exactly did this murder go down? Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson went to the neighborhood, went to the scene of the murder.
Jared was not a victim of any robbery gone wrong or carjacking. Police say he was the victim of a targeted attack on a one-way road. He traveled often. Jared came across a tire police say was intentionally placed right here in the middle of the road in the sanctuary neighborhood of Jacksonville Beach, Florida. That's when someone came out of these woods and ambushed the father of four, killing him on the spot.
I've got some more details from that murder for you. Every other Wednesday night, Bridegan, that's Jared, had dinner with his twins from his marriage with Gardner and brought his 2-year-old daughter.
Okay, so the first thing I want to point out is that you guys see how tight that road was? So I said I would never get out. Why would I get out? I'm just going to go around the tire. You know, the government workers can do their job and move that tire. So the question is, was Jared even able to go around it because of how tight it was on one side? All right. Coming out of the woods, coming out of the woods. That's interesting to me. Versus there being a car that was like allegedly broken down or made it look like it was broken down, changing a tire or something like that. And then maybe Jared got out to like, hey, are you okay? Like, because then he wouldn't be able to get around. So I think it's interesting that they think that he ran out from the trees over there or like the brush. Again, this is Court TV saying this.
So she could get to know her half siblings. On the night of the murder, Bridegan dropped the twins off at his ex-wife's home in Jacksonville Beach after dinner and then headed back to his own home in Nocatee. Gardner and Fernandez Saldana both knew of Bridegan's particular driving pattern and routine at approximately the same time every Wednesday, quote, date night, as the routine was a habit between the two couples for the previous 8 months. So it's no accident. This isn't random. This is a pattern that was predictable. He would drop the kids off and then drive back home. So they knew where to drop that tire so the car would stop. And then Henry Tenon could jump out and murder Jared Bridegan. I want to bring in our guest to go through this murderous plot and the evidence.
Okay, Henry Tenon is not a quick man. He walks slow with a dog all the time. That's in police reports. He's got a slow little walk, glide to him.
It's associated with us. Joining us, retired police commander, host of the Profile.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, listen to it.
Evil podcast and author of the book Deceived. Mike King is with us. Also joining us, private investigator and founder of Victim News Online, Erica Morris. Great to see you both. Looking at, and they're getting the story from Henry Tenon, right? And they're developing it from some other evidence as well. But it sort of makes sense to me.
Remember, Henry Tenon also said that Danny and all this other crap, so.
Mike, the story that's being told on how they could pull this off, because it's a repeated pattern for 8 months. They know where he's going to be. They know which way he's driving. They know which way he's driving out.
He switched it up, though, during the 8 months. Let's see if they talk about that. Let's see if they even know that.
Yeah, we always talk about this idea that past behavior is predictive of future behavior. Every single time Jared dropped those kids off, he drove that same one-way street. And so it's not a
That's going to come out, but that's not true. He recently switched it up due to, I think it was, they were doing some type of construction.
two-way street, Vinny. It's a one-way street, a one-lane street, and it creates a perfect opportunity to create that guise of something in the roadway, a tire in this particular case, blocking it, forcing him to stop and get out. And it doesn't make sense to me that the killer in this case was glumping along and happened to be at that very place at that very moment.
Okay, now see, that's the tire that was then matched. Look at that tire. It has, like, what are those, like knife? Like, what are those? What is that? That wouldn't be your spare tire. Look at that thing. Look at that thing. Look it up here. Who's touching all on that? Look at that. That's a blown, like, that's a bad tire. Remember we were talking about yesterday, was the day before, that you would take your spare, you would take one of your tires off of the two that you got replaced. Okay, we'll keep this one back as a spare. You didn't keep this one back as a spare. Look at that. Look at that. Interesting, isn't it? You guys know what I'm talking about? It's tore the fuck up. Like, you wouldn't keep this tire as your spare tire. Okay. No spare is damaged and flat, right? That should be in a junkyard. Absolutely. So do you know this whole talk is that Henry Tenon kept one of the tires from when he went to get his tires changed But who the fuck would keep a tire like this? Who would keep a tire like this? Something's weird. Something is weird about this, okay? Based just on police reports, what they're trying to say happened here. So glad y'all started early, Lana. Thank you. You're welcome. Again, they're claiming that this is Henry Tenon's tire. Okay, well, Henry Tenon's tire had his truck had 4 tires on it. But they're basically alluding to the fact that when he got in April after the murder, when he would have gotten 2 new tires, he turned one in and kept one back. Okay. And so that's great. And so one of those that he kept back, he put at the house, but this is way after the murder. And they were able to match that tire that was at the house as one that was being, as a match to this. Okay. And you should think that this tire here would be in really, really good shape. Because how I played it all out the other day was that this would have been like a spare tire that he used for the ruse. So this is interesting. It's interesting to me.
Moment in time, especially with his relationship with people tied more intimately to Jared Bridegan.
Erica Morse, what I think about is everyone knew. I don't know if Henry Tenon knew, but the other two knew there was going to be a 2-year-old girl in that car as well at that moment, the daughter. And you think about how, if this is true, right? Got to prove it. But if this is true, how cold and calculated this is, knowing that there's going to be a 2-year-old girl witnessing her father get executed.
I know you're going to get into the digital stuff later, Vinny, but the level of depravity is what really struck me in this, knowing that there was a child present in the backseat. Now, I'm going to go one step further to what Mike just said. It's not just also knowing that he was going to be there on this specific time on a 1-lane road, knowing the routine, but because of 7 years of contentious litigation, I suspect that custody order was extremely precise, as we often see in family court issues. Not just, the standard order for a lot of times for fathers is every other weekend and Wednesday evenings. And that's just kind of typical in the court setting. So that court order most likely had a specific time attached to it that the twins were supposed to be dropped off, leaving a very small window of opportunity and the ability to not get caught. They didn't want that tire being left in the road for 30 minutes, an hour. This was the prime opportunity. And that, to me, narrows the timeline considerably.
Absolutely. Mike King, Erica Morse, staying with us. When we come back, we're going to...
How stupid. Okay. Oh, absolutely. I personally believe that Henry Tenon did this. Okay. But something is weird about it. Or Henry Tenon knows something. But if you're going to plot and plan to kill somebody for all these years, this is your plot and plan, and you pay a fucking piece of shit, like idiot, guy with no vehicle, guy that just happens to get a vehicle because his dad just happens to die, and then he goes and gets it from Georgia, and they use that truck. I mean,
we're going to take a look at Shanna Gardner. What is her alleged connection?
You have all this money, and that's who you go and get to do this.
To the murder and the killer.
Did a customs agent commit cold-blooded murder?
Marsha Thompson is accused of fatal.
Henry Tenon did not act alone. Mario Saldana.
This just seems like it was not planned, like at all, and it was a desperation.
Only on Court TV.
This morning, a Fourth Circuit grand jury indicted Shanna Gardner for first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit first-degree murder, and child abuse. This investigation has uncovered the truth of Jared's murder. Henry Tenon did not act alone. Mario Fernandez did not plan alone. And Shanna Gardner's indictment acknowledges her central and key role in the cold, calculated, and premeditated murder of Jared Bridegan.
See, I don't know if I buy that.
One at a time, the arrests were made. First, Henry Tenon, the man who admitted committing the actual killing, the actual murder. Then it was her new husband, Mario Fernandez, and then Shanna Gardner, the last one to be arrested in all of this. Now, the challenge here is that Tenon is connected to Fernandez, but not directly connected necessarily to Shanna Gardner. Fernandez had a relationship with him prior to this happening. Shanna didn't. However, what is the evidence now that is connecting her to this entire?
Henry Tenon has never committed a violent offense, by the way.
Plot. Let's take a listen to Detective Jones talking about how Henry Tenon got paid.
His name's
Who are the title holders or principals on these articles of organization?
Are these people kidding? His name is not Christopher Jones. It's Detective Johns.
Gardner and Mr. Fernandez are listed as managing members, or what would be considered funders of the LLC.
And the LLC's First Choice Home Rentals, what was the business of this LLC as incorporated?
The business was established to manage their rental property holdings.
This document is an annual report. What does that mean?
This is just a document that's filed every year to basically let the state know this is an active company and that to make any changes to the ownership or management of the company.
And this was filed in the upper right-hand corner, January 28th, 2022, which was a few weeks before the murder of Jared Bridegan. And again,
it wasn't filed then. Wasn't it just, it was, see how it says an annual report, just so you guys get annual? Okay, it's your company's annual report. That home rentals things was something that was going on for a while. This is not like they just filed this LLC then.
and at the bottom, who are the still owners or signatories on this LLC?
The listed owners are Shanna Gardner and Mario Fernandez.
And this is another exhibit or another page on Composite Exhibit 3, again showing that the First Choice Home Rentals LLC was getting what appears to be
Transfer to checking Mario. Transfer to checking Mario.
monthly transfers from the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust.
What was the check for $16,300? What was that for? What was that check for? $16,300. 426. I mean, that is months after the murder. There is no money paid to Henry Tenon before the murder. Isn't that crazy? Deposit paid from PayPal. Why don't they do their jobs? Like, I could not imagine somebody doing and committing murder without getting paid. Her internet went out and she wanted to kill the people from the internet company because no internet would make her want to kill her kids. She's another butter. Yeah, I mean, I personally think that she is like, that's her talk. That's her lingo. I can't imagine saying to somebody, man, I want to fucking kill that person. And that person going out and doing it. Okay. They're saying that she said, I want to make him disappear like Chris Angel. Okay. So then, and they would just refer to, oh, let's go perform some magic on Jared or something like that. And that was their code word. We can all get Nutter Butter shirts, Miss Potts. Any minor inconvenience in her life made her want to kill people. It's something's off to me about this. Okay. Something is off to me. Okay. Who the fuck goes and kills somebody and doesn't get paid beforehand? I'm going to make sure it's done. Once it's done, hit me up. I'm going to give you a $5,000 check. What the fuck? No, you're not. That's just wild, man. And then
This check's on April 6th for $5,000 written.
this more looks like it's hush money. Like, don't say nothing. This doesn't look like I'm the trigger puller. Look at this. On 3/28, 3/29, remember, $2,000 deposit, $3,000 deposit, $5,000 deposit. This is into Henry Tenon's bank account. On 3/28, 3/29. Murder was 2/16. Now, the 3/28 and 3/29, he said, no, those were legit. I was working and I made that money. That was legit work that I did. Okay. Landscaping and keeping up with the something. And then he said, but that $5,000 check on 4/6
to Henry Tenon, our first choice rentals.
Kickstarter, good luck. And he's like, they paid me, it was going to be all that, we're going to be investing $150,000. $150,000. It's going to seem like we're investing in this pallet business. Kickstarter, good luck.
And in the subject line, it says Kickstarter, good luck. Can you describe for the court, based on your conversations with Mr. Tenon, what this check was actually for?
Mr. Tenon stated this was the first of many payments that was supposed to be an investment into his pallet company, which was actually payment for the homicide.
Okay, so we're looking at this LLC they set up. Shanna is obviously funding it with her trust fund money, and that's how the payments are being made. Mike, what do you think about this connection to get Shanna into this plot?
I like this. They're showing the income coming from the irrevocable trust that her family has set up, but then they're showing it come into this joint account, then going out and paying the shooter. And unless that shooter's established a business that required 10 grand to get started, that's going to be a really tall mountain for them to climb as far as why were they giving him that kind of money. The relationship wasn't them paying him. It should have been him paying for a place to live.
Excuse me? Did you not read the lines, Mike? It said landscaping. Okay, that was the $2,000 one was landscaping. We didn't get to see the $3,000 one was because it's so little, itty bitty. Okay, but he seems to think that 10,000. He must not read the documents either, because the documents clearly say Henry Tenon says that no, the $2,000 to $3,000 in March, that was for my legit work that I was doing. But that $5,000 Kickstarter, well, see, now that was my fake business, and they were investing, or Henry Tenon never said Shanna was involved with this at all. Said that Mario Saldana is crazy. He was in fear for his family, and that it was only Mario Saldana, and he gave him the $5,000, and he was going to pay him $150,000 over the course of time, but he had to give it to him in little increments, right? Well, if Shanna and Mario are going to get divorced, right? Mario's not going to have access to pay this motherfucking man. Okay. So where is Mario Saldana going to get $145,000 more? And something else I think is really, really interesting is that they did not arrest Henry Tenon until August. So think about this. Henry Tenon gets $5,000 in April. Then you have May, June, July. He gets pulled over for a traffic stop in August. Wouldn't you want to wait and maybe see if there'd be another payment going to Henry Tenon? Was there another payment?
Let's take a listen now to Detective Jones talking about text messages between Shanna Gardner and a friend.
There were two phrases that kind of were a continuation during all of their text.
This is what's going to come. This is going to come out. This is Jose Baez lost his dick on that podium. Okay. This is May 6th, 2015. May 6th, 2015 text message. Shanna Gardner says, Matt was ready to come over here today and talk to him. He was like, it wouldn't get physical yet, but I tell him if these things happen XYZ, then ABC will happen to him. And if he called the cops, Matt would know and ABC would happen. He said, I'd tell him he can thank the beautiful woman he's leeching off of that he is even still alive. Because if it were up to him, he would have disappeared months ago. Bah, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. I told him your comment about the casserole. Ha 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 ha. We both had a good laugh. Now Kimmy writes, LOL. He needs to refrain, if for no other reason than not giving stupid any validation in his claims. However, I do make a mean casserole if he ever gets bored one day. My funeral potatoes kick ass. Kimmy, do you have that recipe?
Text messages. One of those referred to as a casserole, also aka funeral potatoes, or then there was the phrase of doing magic. Sorry.
So I don't want to interrupt you. Let's talk about the funeral potatoes casserole. Did these words, were they used frequently in conversations between Shanna Gardner and Kim Jensen?
Yes, they were.
And in what context were they used?
In reference to the death of Jared.
What direct?
I laugh every time we go to a cookout and I get asked to make funeral potatoes. I even made them for the something Christmas party. For the work something Christmas party. So for the blank Christmas party. You guys, 2015 text messages. Thank you so much, Cloud Castles.
Sorry.
So I don't want to interrupt you. Let's talk about the funeral potatoes casserole. Did these words, were they used frequently in conversations between Shanna Gardner and Kim Jensen?
Yes, they were.
And in what context were they used?
In reference to the death of Jared.
What direction does this conversation take?
It's essentially just more about ways that Ms. Gardner is unhappy with Mr. Bridegan, that she would like for him no longer to be alive, and then they talk about casserole, and then they will move on to other things as far as how it causes death.
What direction does this conversation take?
Basically, this is reaching out to Ms. Lee and stating, hey, Shanna needs a guy who does permanent disappearing acts. And she says that she needs a magician for stupid, referring to Mr. Bridegan, and ask if she knows anyone who can basically accomplish this.
Erica Morse, to me, this is powerful as well. You're talking about.
Oh my God. That's powerful. You guys, they were going through a divorce, okay? Go back, all of you that have been through a divorce, okay? What the fuck? I would never, like, I could kill that bastard. Somebody needs to really fucking shut him up. Funeral potatoes are so yummy and rich. It's a legit like recipe. Okay. But I'm sorry, but Susan Lee and Kimmy, they don't know Henry Tenon. Okay. And if they want to try to show a pattern, this is what they're trying to say, that Shanna Gardner has been soliciting for somebody to kill Jared Bridegan since back then. Then the other thing they're trying to say is that Shanna Gardner told Jared's brother, yeah, I was looking for a hitman to kill your brother. Does that sound like somebody that is like being serious? And then if Jared's brother thought that she was being serious, why wouldn't Jared all those years ago went to the police? It doesn't make sense to me. And this guy that was asked, this Matt guy, he's like, yeah, I didn't take it as she was being serious. Like, It was her tattoo guy the one time. And he's like, yeah, I never talked to her really after that. And so it's like, Shanna, I think has loose lips, says whatever, and like is just blah, blah. But Mario, on the other hand, if he's trying to salvage a marriage so that he can continue to have gravy train money and not work and play video games all day, I think that Mario Saldana has an interesting little, she's planning on divorcing him. Shanna Gardner's planning on divorcing him, and then all of a sudden, Jared's murdered. Think about that. I don't know. I'm planning on divorcing somebody, and that person that I plan on divorcing, who is tied up to my irrevocable trust, blah, blah, money for days, has it made, plays video games, I'm going to divorce them, so they're not going to get dick, right? And goes and pulls some shit like this, making it then so now I can't divorce them. Okay, or I could. I mean, I don't know. I think Mario's batshit crazy.
About
the other thing is Mario's a swinger. Mario was banging other people. Shanna Gardner wasn't a swinger.
The whole concept of this case is someone with money has a.
Mario's one friend was on the flag FBI list for human trafficking. I mean,
little problem, and okay, well, money can make the problem go away, and that's
the problem right there. Money can make the problem go away. Well, then you wouldn't go this route. I wouldn't go hire some crackhead downtown Columbus over here. Hey, man, will you kill my ex? Are you kidding me? That's insanity. Oh, he's my tenant, though. I know him a little bit. How do you know him? You're going to come with me, and you're going to... But the kids say that Mario was at home playing video games. And Henry Tenon says that Mario was there with him. And I don't see those kids being coached to say that. Because I think it would have come out now that, did they tell you? I mean, I don't know. But something reeks. And I agree with Jose Baez on that. Something doesn't make sense here. Something reeks.
that's the vibe I'm getting here.
Not only can money make the problem go away, but when you're used to having money, you're also used to hiring people to do the job for you. Just like you go to a nice hotel and you pay them to do the room service and the massage and all that. You're just used to hiring somebody to make a problem go away. But that's what I was referring to.
She is comparing a plumber issue to people that have money just hire people to do everything. Come on in and fix my beep. Come on in and fix my plumbing. Come on in and kill my ex-husband. That's interesting to me. You will never find me on mainstream media television saying those words. That people that just have money, they pay for everything. Okay, well, let me tell you what other people do that have money. They hide their money. They would have hid this transaction. People that have money. People that are smart. Okay? And if that's the case, this is not a contract killer. Henry Tenon is not a contract killer. Henry Tenon told the police, I've never met Shanna Gardner. I've never talked to her. Nothing. There is nothing connecting Shanna Gardner to Henry Tenon in his own words. Just a honey-do list. Just a regular honey-do list. There we go. Lots of swingers in these murder cases. Murky. Some folks say some not so nice things about each other when having problems. Yep, even when not getting a divorce. That means nothing, just like when Alan Jackson said in Karen Reed's case. Absolutely. I just think that you're also using, can you imagine if during the Karen Reed trial we were reading text messages from 2015? 2015. Between, do you understand that they were trying to say that Susan Lee and this Kim Jensen people were they were co-conspirators. They were going to charge them with that. I'm going to say whatever the hell you want me to say. If you're going to charge me with conspiracy to commit murder, they pray. Rich doesn't equal smart. That's for sure. They may just be dumb. That's for sure too. But I would expect another payment to have happened. Okay. I would have expected another payment to happen. And I'm surprised that it hasn't, or that it didn't, between March, April, and then nothing. Maybe they're like, we probably should use checks. I don't know. But this would have to go down if this is all true. If all this is true, this has to go down as the dumbest crime I think I've ever covered then. There's all these text messages about wanting to kill Jared, right? With all these different people. And then we use a tire that's on the car of the truck that we're going to use. We pay in checks, and we do it during the only time that we would know where Jared would be because of our routines in life. Think about that. And it is. So maybe this needs to be advertised as the stupidest murder plot I've ever seen in my life. Trial. Not the Microsoft exec murder, but the stupidest murder plot I've ever heard in my life. Or is there some merit in what Jose Baez is saying that the case that the state has put together reeks? And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of the truth.
Referring to in that first segment, Vinny, when we were talking about the depravity, those text messages were so bothersome. The fact that she called her ex-husband stupid, I get it. It's contentious. My issue is when we start talking about the Magic Act, and then they begin referring to the Disappearing Act. Can you make somebody shut up permanently? It's that kind of stuff that just speaks to her level of control. And if you're looking for motive in this, it's a double-edged motive here. It is a combination, in my opinion, of just absolute hatred and contention and custody. This is all about control. She's used to getting what she wants. She wants the problem to go away.
Mike, 3 defendants here. One has admitted everything. So it seems predictable when this moves forward how it's going to play out from the defendant's perspective. There's going to be some finger pointing going on here. So how do you see that issue in trying to make this is a conspiracy among 3 people versus 2 people or 1 person acting alone?
Yeah, I mean, he's still got a murder rap on him, and he's still going to spend the rest of his life likely in prison. So what does he really have to gain outside of the death penalty, which certainly would be motivation, I guess, to try to talk about things. But the thing that's going to happen here, in my opinion, Vinny, is he's going to become the linchpin. He's going to be the one that's going to be able to decipher what it means to say funeral potatoes or casserole or jumpstart for your new business. Those kinds of things he's going to be able to talk to. We also know that they're probably going to release more information in the coming days. Have they forensically been able to uncover some things that are going to say exactly this person, because of this comment, is tied to this outcome? Again, I think the financial money train is going to, the trail is going to really paint a picture. He's going to be able to glue all the parts together. Then it's going to be up to a jury whether they believe him. But prosecutors use criminals every single day to twist and turn and go against other bad guys. And what we're after is the ultimate conspirators in this case.
Yeah, and this is a death penalty case. So everything is at stake here. There is a lot at stake. When I think about the relationships here, I come back to this relationship between Mario Fernandez and Shanna Gardner, and whether one or the other may turn on the other. I can't imagine that Shanna does anything but point the finger at Mario and point the finger at Henry, because, Erica, those are the 2 that have sort of a prior relationship in all of this.
They are the 2 that have the prior relationship. However, she is the one with the motive. As a prosecutor, Vinny, I'm sure you would drill down on this part. You would ask, Henry, did you have...
Do you guys know that Mario Saldana went into the cops? He went into the station. And said he wanted to talk to the police because I don't think that these people have read any of these documents, man. So I want to read what Mario said to the police. Mario in March and in May met with the police, and he was going crazy on fucking how to parent the children. he was going nuts on how to parent the kids. And it's like, what are you talking about? You're not, like, bye, get out of here. You're not their dad, you know? You fucking play video games all day. Shanna Gardner. Okay. Oh, Mario. I was contacted by Mario Saldana, who stated he wanted to speak to detectives. I asked him to come by the police station. This was on April 15th. This would have been before he writes a check for $5,000. Okay, April 15th. He writes the check April 22nd, 28th, something like that. He said that Fernandez said that they had been experiencing a backlash from Kirsten Bridegan putting it out in the media. He said that they were trying to maintain an amicable relationship for the sake of the kids, but that would not continue. He said the kids are being affected by the constant media. Fernandez stated that what Kirsten is stating is starting to affect the business of Shanann's parents as well as their bakery business. He further stated that people are starting to accuse Shanann of being involved. Fernandez says the problem is I am running out of fucks to give and I am very petty. Oh my God. You guys, he says to Detective Johns, we know how he likes to write reports. In quotes, I am running out of fucks to give and I am very petty. You guys hear this? Like, so this is why I'm coming in, because I'm listening to Jose Baez after I listened to a 6-hour bail hearing, broke it all down, and after I read every single police report. And I said, also, I've read their whole divorce. And let me tell you something. Jared left the kids and went to Utah for like a whole year. And he got the half custody, right? And so did she. And then he left because he needed it. It was about money, about getting training with a job with anyways, he chose to leave his kids. All right. And Gardner could have went to the courts and put it in paperwork that we're changing this parenting plan. Okay. But she never did. Instead, he would come and see the kids every other weekend. Then when he came back, he wanted it to just go back to the way that it was before. And that's why she took him to court that one time. It was because, wait a second, the kids have been doing this and now you just want to come back and just like poof, you just get to go back to the way it is. Well, technically, yeah, because you never went to the courts and actually went through the courts to change the parenting plan, which you have to do. So anyways, going on, Fernandez was asked, Fernandez stated that Kirsten was painting a pretty picture. He also stated someone posted that Shanna and Jared were divorced because Shanna cheated. He said that was not true. He said that people are starting to comment that he and Shanna were somehow involved. He reiterated it is starting to affect their businesses. He stated Shanna has kept him on a leash and he is over it. Has kept him on a leash and he is over it. He stated that he, Jared, had a say over the kids, but that is over and now. They only have to deal with her. He further stated there is too much information on the internet and that is not good for the kids. So he's absolutely, like, when they want to say that, like, she's the one with this motive or dude, this guy came in and started, like, trying to, like, run the kids' lives. Okay? Mario. Now they have a quote-unquote new normal, but Kirsten is making it really difficult. Mario was advised that he is welcome to say whatever he would like, but we would hope they do not lie or slander each other. Because he's like, I want to talk in the media. He said that was already happening since Kirsten was telling people that they did it, and Shanna's parents paid for it. since they are rich. He goes into the police department and says this, Mario Saldana, okay? And then you're going to sit here and tell me that he decides that I'm going to write a check to Henry Tenon, literally 10 days, not even 7 days after this, writes a check on April 22nd, writes a check for $5,000 and says Kickstarter. After he goes into the police station and writes all this crazy shit, or says all this crazy shit. He says Fernandez was asked who was attacking their businesses. He said it was just random local people commenting online. Mario was asked if they were getting divorced, which he confirmed. He confirmed they're getting divorced. He stated that they only got married so he could help with the kids while they were dating. He stated they started going to counseling about a year ago. However, their chemistry is divided and they have different styles on how to raise the kids. He said it was also very difficult with the kids going back and forth between the houses. He stated they were hoping he, Jared, would quote unquote push the issue with the therapist and we are just going to shit on him in court so Shanann could gain more time with the kids. What is he talking about? This is unbelievable. He replied, not necessarily, but Jared would have lost his mind. He stated he would have paid to see this, especially if he has supervised visits. Oh my God. Like, Mario Saldana has his own motives, y'all. He says it to the police. He is a cuckoo. He is cuckoo, man. He stated they planned on doing family therapy to make the transition better for the kids. He stated they get along and they love each other, but their different parenting styles are the issue. Maybe their sexual styles are as well. Fernandez was asked how the kids were handling everything. He said that they're thriving and it makes it easier. They are not moving between houses. Oh my God. He stated that they are mourning, but they are not grieving. He said the kids are doing better, but the news stories upset them. During the interview, Fernandez was asked if he would be willing to provide a DNA sample. He agreed and completed a consent form. He turned over his DNA. There was DNA that they took at the crime scene, I believe from the tires. So this man goes in there because he is pissed and wants to say that, listen, Kirsten's over here running her mouth and saying that we did it and Shanna's parents paid for it. And it's affecting our business, it's affecting our lives, okay? And so we've tried to keep things amicable and not say anything, but we're basically gonna start speaking out, is what I'm understanding. Like, but here he said he reiterated it is starting to affect their business. He said his wife, Shanna, has kept him on a leash and he is over it. Kept him on a leash. He also said, the problem is I am running out of fucks to give and I am very petty. Mario stated he was going to go on Facebook Live and let her have it. He was going to go on Facebook Live. He wanted to go live on Facebook and let Jared Bridegan's wife have it because she was running her mouth. And so he goes into the police and says his first words were, we are getting all this backlash because Kirsten's saying all this stuff. Okay. And he says, well, the problem is that I am running out of fucks to give and I am very petty. So I'm about to go on Facebook Live and let her have it because I want her to shut up. He also stated they were going to seek legal counsel. He also asked if we, the police, were instructing her to do this. Yes, exactly. Exactly. There it is. Wouldn't that mean that Mario was going to take things into his own hands? Sounds like it to me. Yes. Mario he's a military guy. Okay, you gotta be careful with these military guys. But this man, when I want to talk about you want to talk about the dumbest crime you could ever commit and then do all this type of shit. That's why this case intrigued me so much. And that Jose Baez would even get involved with crazy. You know, this is crazy. But Jose Baez went through the documents, has his team go through the documents, and he finds shit. He's like, wait a second. This reeks. And I'm going to tell you what I found that reeks about it. What they say they did as investigators and when they did it. And how long it would possibly take for them to ever... Okay, you're looking into Mario Saldana. They were wiretapping shit. They pulled all their bank records, okay? They pulled their bank records day one, like in February. Okay. How do you just come across Henry Tenon's name? Like, you would have come across his name so long ago. Unless you have no idea what the fuck you're doing, but actually, I'm going to look at something. I think what he testified to is that when they pulled the bank records, they pulled them too soon because, let's see. Detective Johns said, okay, this is the order of the search warrants. They pulled literally on 218 and 222, Navy Federal Credit Union for Shanna and JP Morgan Chase for Jared. Then they did AT&T. Then they did American Express for Gardner, Citibank for Gardner and Bridegan and Bridegan's wife. Community First Credit Union of Florida, Jared's. JP Morgan Chase, Kirsten Bridegan. JP Morgan Chase, Shanna L. Gardner. Mayo Employees Federal Credit Union, Jared. USAA Federal Savings Bank, Mario Saldana. Coinbase Inc., Mario. Farm Bureau Life Insurance, Jared. Verizon. Michelin North American LC, BF Goodrich. PayPal of Mario. Capital One, then they wait. They wait from April 1st until May 12th. There are no subpoenas, search warrants, nothing served for that period of time. And that's what interests me. Why they would have stopped doing anything from April 1st until May 12th during that period of time. And it's because they were doing something. And I think that they were watching that John Biggerstaff guy. But also, if you think about it, this idiot comes in to the station on 4/15 saying all this crazy shit that he's going to go on Facebook Live. Wouldn't you just flag these accounts and just see if there's big withdrawals coming out of them? But my understanding is that they got these, and I'm going to look more into this when they got these, because they would have had the ADA Stifler is going to be on the hook for a bunch of this shit too, because she was signing off on a ton of stuff. But basically what he testified to, the detective, is that, hey, when we pulled all these financials, we couldn't see anything because all of the stuff, the transactions with Henry Tenon happened after the fact. There was no money ever changing hands. And I said to myself, I don't think that's accurate. Didn't Tenon pay rent? Did he pay rent in just cash? But it's very interesting that from April 1st until May 12th, no subpoenas being issued, unless they've given us a redacted copy where they're not going to let us know what they took from 4/1 to 5/12, unless this is redacted. But I believe that they were telling the family, I mean, I know I would be telling the family that, hey, we got it. We get it. These are the ones, okay, you're going to have to be patient with us to be able to, like, okay, it's going to take some time. We got to put it all together. we're listening to what you're saying. Okay, so, telling Kirsten this and, but
access to that court order? Did you have access to that sealed court order that gave the exact time frame of when he was going to be driving down that one-way road? I mean, really, what is this man's motivation for taking a life? It doesn't fit. And when something doesn't make sense, it's not true. He didn't go out and think this up on his own. She premeditated this, if that's what we're talking here. Sounds like it. But this was a premeditated plan after 7 years of a nasty custody suit. And what really breaks my heart is that these kids who probably are suffering serious post-traumatic stress now have been ripped from their father's family completely, taken to another state, and then his paternal grandparents have to hire an attorney just to get supervised visits. This is vicious, this is cruel, and this is unfair to every victim in this case. And you talk about the victim, Mike King, and we're looking at pictures of Jared Bridegan, obviously ready, willing, and able to do whatever he needs to do for his family. I mean, that's every indication, every conversation.
They were arguing over what school to send the kids to. She wanted them to go to the Discovery School. He wanted them to go to whatever school. And she said, okay, I won't take any more child support from you if they can go to the Discovery School. And he agreed. Let me tell you something. If I am that adamant about my kid going to a certain school because of certain things, and you tell me, oh, I won't make you pay child support if our kids can go to this place, and I do that, first of all, child support is for the kids. Okay, it's not supposed to be for you. It's the way that you need to look at child support in this world is that is what your children are entitled to. Okay, that's your children. All right. But if I would ever, okay, fine, that's fine. I'm sorry, but I would think that I'm a piece of shit. Then my argument didn't mean shit because money meant more than my argument, right? So Jared says, okay, that's fine. He doesn't pay child support anymore. And the kids go to the school that she wanted them to go to, which was the Discovery School. Again, you're only going to get one side. And I get it. Like, people don't want to talk bad about a victim. I'm not talking bad about anybody. I'm telling you the facts. Okay? And the facts matter when the government wants to kill somebody, and that's called the death penalty. And this is a death penalty case. And I don't believe that these kids should be without their mother. Even if she did this for you to go and then kill her. Okay? If you're thinking about the kids, that's not what she would do. So, but in any state, like, I want to say like this motive and stuff like that, and that this so like
conversation, all the research that I've done in this case always points in that direction. And they moved to Florida because one of the twins had a medical issue and had to be in a specific type of environment. So packed up, everything, moved down to Jacksonville and
no, they went somewhere else before they went to Jacksonville. Okay. They went somewhere else. And
that's where they ended up. To me, that's the other part of the tragedy here is the children, Mike, and how that works. How that works into the whole case here.
And we have to keep that in mind. And you go back and you think about some of the behavior that's happened here. He isn't killed going to return the child home that he's taken out to dinner. He's killed when he has a child that's not hers, which also makes this a little bit intriguing. The other thing I think about a lot is that the fact that when we examine these cases and we look at behavior and the changes that occur in behavior, his behavior remains pretty consistent through the whole thing. His lifestyle is the same. His religion, it's hers that changes, and that always causes me concern.
Absolutely.
See, that's not even, Mike, that's not true. That's what pisses me off. His life didn't stay the same. He left and went to Utah without his kids. You want me to pull out the divorce paperwork? I have all 960 pages of it. I read it all, Mike. Did you? You didn't read it. Because if you would have read it, you wouldn't be making that comment. Again, facts matter. That's not a true statement right there. That's false as fuck. He left his kids and went to Utah. Okay? That's not true. Shanna was raising the kids by herself. He was coming every other weekend, sometimes not even that often. He was working in Utah after the divorce. and after they got 50-50 custody, and when he went to Utah, they maintained this 50-50 custody because they didn't go and get the shared parenting modifications done. And so when he came back after a year, he wanted to just go right back into how it was before. And she was like, well, no, like, and her lawyer said, yeah, actually, because it was never done through the courts, you guys just agreed to do it like this. Yeah, if he's back here, he gets his days. You'll never win. You can go argue. You can go argue it if you want to put it on the record that and they did it it was enough emotions that it was said what had happened, and that would be considered a change in circumstances. She would have 100% got a modification in the custody arrangements and the parenting schedule, as that would have constituted a change in circumstances, no doubt about it. But they never went and did it. So how could this be so pretentious? Okay, about fucking people and whatever. Why didn't Shanna just go and do that? So I just wish that people would get the facts. Okay, get the facts. But to sit here and say that Shanna's life altered and his didn't, well, how could you even say that? He's the one that got remarried and had other kids. That's a change. Okay. Then she goes ahead and has to get married because guess what? He is in their decree. Mario couldn't be around the kids unless it was like her husband. And that's why they got married. So that he could help with the kids because of the way the divorce decree is and the way that the shared parenting was. So everybody wanted to have all this type of control and who was trying to control what. And if you actually go and you read, Jared was pro se when he was representing himself on some of these times going to court. And so therefore there's a lot of emails that he wrote himself that are out there. Again, I have all 900 and some pages. And it's interesting. But if anybody would have read those, there is no way in how you're coming out here, Mike King, and saying this shit.
Big thank you, Mike King, Erica Morris. Appreciate your time and insight.
Known that he was going to take that narrow road and that
I know him.
Because it was them knowing his schedule and having known that he was going to take that narrow road and that he would have to move the time.
Now, this is Kirsten right here. And my heart breaks for her. My heart absolutely breaks for her. And I want her to get justice.
Is that what made you think that they were involved because he had just left her house?
But if Gardner truly was not involved in this and Mario did this, okay, Gardner shouldn't, but if Gardner was involved in this and what it's going to take, in my opinion, to get for you right now, if I'm a juror, to say that she was involved in this, Mario is going to have to start speaking up.
That and just the fact that he didn't have enemies. So unless it was completely random, the only two people he had trouble with were Mario and Shanna, to my knowledge.
But it wasn't random. This was not a robbery. This was not a child abduction. It was nothing like that. It was just a hit. The only crime committed there was the murder. There was no other reason for it. There was no argument. There wasn't road rage. There was no car accident. There's a tire that stops Jared Bridegan, and then out of the bushes comes Henry Tenon, the paid-for hitman who comes out and takes Jared Bridegan's life. So why would someone hire a hitman? Who does he have a problem with? Well, the only real angst in his life.
Also, Henry Tenon told the police that Mario gave him the gun. Well, where'd this gun come from?
Is with his ex, Shanna Gardner, and her continuous litigation of every single custody issue. Back to court, back to court, back to court, back to court, over and over and over again. Now, she was funded by money from a trust fund. But there's something else about this trust fund that you need to know tonight. Really important and connected to all of this, I believe, and prosecutors believe. Take a look. By 2022, And at the time of Bridegan's murder, Gardner and Fernandez Saldana were planning to divorce, even advising such to the twins' school. In reviewing financial records, investigators discovered the majority of Gardner's income came through an irrevocable trust that Gardner's parents funded. Fernandez Saldana is the listed trustee. The trust language provides, get ready, folks, this is the big one, quote, when our daughter, Shanna, shall have no further legal entanglements with her ex-husband, Jared G. Bridegan, she may elect to serve as trustee. She doesn't take over her trust until all the legal issues with her ex-husband are done. So when did the legal issues with your ex-husband when you have children together end? Perhaps never? Perhaps never? And the earliest could be when the children are 18.
Did you say that it was her wanting to go back to court all the time?
To the twins' school. In review, continuous litigation, there wasn't road rage, there was no car accident, there's a tire that stops Jared Bridegan, and then out of the bushes comes Henry Tenon, the paid-for hitman who comes out and takes Jared Bridegan's life. So why would someone hire a hitman? Who does he have a problem with? Well, the only real angst in his life is with his ex, Shanna Gardner, and her continuous litigation of every single customer.
Oh my God, there it goes. Dude, Vinny, you're wrong. You're wrong, bro. You are wrong. She wasn't the one that was taking him to court all the time. Oh my God. Read the papers. Read the papers. I'm going to have to pull out my papers. Okay? That's not true. That is not true. It was not her continued litigation. That is not the facts.
Custody issue. Back to court, back to court, back to court, back to court, over and over and over again. Now, she was funded by money from a trust fund. But there's something else about this trust fund that you need to know tonight. Really important and connected to all of this, I believe, and prosecutors believe. Take a look. By 2022, and at the
so if it's connected and it's really important, wouldn't that give the motive then to Mario? Because he wants to be in charge of that money.
And at the time of Bridegan's murder, Gardner and Fernandez Saldana were planning to divorce. However, her dissolution decree prevented her from leaving the state permanently with her children without an agreement from Bridegan or a court order. With Bridegan's death, she became free to leave the state with her children, which she has done, and with no legal entanglements with her ex-husband, she now also can control her trust funds. She's single, living where she wants to live, controlling her money, and oh, by the way, also got rid of the husband.
Wait, you guys.
Fernandez is gone.
This is their probable cause. That's not true.
Came free to leave the state.
Again, that's not true. Her parents bought a beach house. A week or two after Jared's death.
The state with her children, which she has done, and with no legal entanglements with her ex-husband, she now also can control her trust funds. She's single, living where she wants to live, controlling her money, and oh, by the way, also got rid of the husband. Fernandez is gone. They were divorcing. So now she's single, wealthy, with her kids. Is that a motive? Could that get into someone's mind to motivate them to take out your children's father?
Now, go listen to how Vinny talked before Karen Reed's case got on another level. Oh, 100% she could be involved. Again, this is either going to go down as something reeks to hell, high water, or this will go down as the dumbest criminals I've ever seen in my life. And it's literally going to be one way or the other. And I'm really confused about this case. Was his wife investigated too? Yeah, they said that everybody was investigated. So if she's divorcing Mario, why would she have him helping with the killings, right? Jared worked for Microsoft.
And take a risk. Like, you have to think about this. Like, everyone who commits a murder or plots a murder has to know that there's just a slight chance that you could get caught. And to risk this life of luxury, where the only problem she had in her life was she had to agree to what to do with her children and she had to live in Florida. Is that enough? Let me bring in our experts. Joining us tonight, licensed mental health and nationally certified clinician specializing in trauma, child abuse, and neglect. Sharonda Brown is with us. Also joining us, clinical and forensic neuropsychologist, associate professor at Pepperdine University, and author of the book, The New Rules of Attachment, Dr. Judy Ho, and clinical and forensic psychologist, Dr. Leslie Dobson. Welcome to everyone. This is incredibly tragic, but it's an alleged murder for hire. The question is, these situations, these factors, could they and how could they motivate someone to commit the ultimate crime? Sharonda, I'll begin with you. This back and forth, this nonstop litigation, lack of complete control, could you see that as a motive for someone who has whatever they need at their fingertips? Trust fund babies have money.
Absolutely. I definitely see it as a motive, but I also think that prior to that, there was already a disdain there that made the motive more intense. It sounds like they really had this tumultuous, marriage that led to divorce, but it also sounds like she just really did not want to share. And if we want to pair in the fact that maybe he moved on and was happy, that also could have played a part in making the things that we saw in this legal document more intense, because people, more than anything, they don't want to see you happy when you have left them and moved on with someone else. So even that in of itself can be a motive prior to anything else coming into play.
Dr. Judy Ho, how does someone get there? How do you on the one hand want to be a mother for two children, and at the same time, allegedly, want to commit cold-blooded murder of these same children's father?
And you don't think that Shanna Gardner would think to herself, if this happens, I'm going to be suspect one. I'm suspect one. I am suspect one. You don't think that maybe she was saying all this stuff and thinking like, yeah, well, even if I wanted to do all that, I couldn't, because I would never be able to get away with it because I'm suspect one. I mean, if you're thinking and trying to think something out, wouldn't you think about that? Jose Baez had a great point. He said, listen, Shanna Gardner was in Florida trying to turn herself in. If you guys were going to go ahead and arrest her, she didn't want there to be some big scene. She didn't want there to be a SWAT. Didn't want this for her kids, right? And the assistant district attorney, Stifler, did not email back or call back Shanna Gardner's attorney ever. And Shanna they gave different addresses that she was staying at so that she was close to Florida, in Savannah and then Tallahassee. And this is right after Mario was arrested. Mario was arrested in 2023. In March, she's arrested not until August, okay? She was trying to, turn herself in. If that's what you guys are going to try to do is arrest me, I don't want it to be around the kids. I don't want there to be this scene. She does it through her attorney. Here, if you're going to be trying to arrest me, I'm not fleeing, not doing anything like that. Okay. I'm trying to fully cooperate. I don't have anything to do with this, but I don't want my kids. I don't want any of this. I don't. So she, which Detective Johns at that bail hearing tried to spin and say that no, she was at an Airbnb. That was going to be when she was going to be taken off on a plane and fleeing. And it's after her lawyer told you guys where she was, that's really how you do that. The other thing about the court stuff, guys, is that it never ended in actually physically going to court and having a hearing. Everything with them was it was lawyers making money. They didn't have hearings for all those stuff. Go look up the paperwork, man. It's amazing. That's what divorce is all about, though. That's why I think the worst people, how do you ever go and become a divorce attorney when you're just fucking people all day? So, literally. But the whole the paperwork and the filings, none of those ever resulted in actually a hearing. Okay. And when I actually read the papers, I was like, this is motions and replies back and forth, but they're never in a courtroom. There's never a hearing. Like, this is all smoke and mirrors. Okay? This is petty, like, ridiculous shit. And it's like, until you read the documents, which I guarantee you none of these motherfuckers have, you wouldn't be talking like this. And I put it on my last video way back when this first happened, when I said, you know what, those divorce papers do not show what people are saying that they're showing. And, you know, so mainstream media, go ahead, go make your money, but you're wrong. Your facts are off.
Children, I mean, I think everyone knows children tend to do better if they have a caring mother and a caring father. So how does someone get to that point? How is that possible?
Well, Vinny, two factors: extreme compartmentalization and self-justification. So compartmentalizing the part of her that may be empathetic, may even be a decent mother. And that part is completely separate of this other part that apparently, according to one of the lead detectives in the case, was exchanging text messages repeatedly with her best friend saying, I want to get rid of him. This is how I'm going to
listen to this shit. Yeah.
do it, basically concocting themes and going over it over and over again in her head. So this is something that is filling her thoughts. The other piece of it is that justification process. Well, this is what's good for all of us. Actually, this is what's best for the children. The children need to be living in a different place. It'll be better for their education. They'll be around a better environment. Who knows what she's telling herself and saying, I'm not the bad person here. I'm just trying to provide a better life for myself and for my children.
Let me ask you, Dr. Leslie Dobson, about...
Or she was thinking to herself, what the fuck did Mario do? Okay. And, oh my God, like, they're going to think that I'm involved in this because of fucking him. I don't know.
Children are potentially going to be with them. So it's not a normal clause to have in a trust fund from parents, especially parents who have raised quite an entitled, narcissistic child.
Oh, that's putting it mildly, right? When we talk about the allegations here and what's happened.
Wow.
Take me into the mind of the parents who are saying to their daughter, when our daughter shall have no further legal entanglements with her ex-husband, Jared Bridegan, she may elect to serve as trustee. Why would they do that?
It tells me right away they didn't trust him, or they didn't trust the perspective that she presented of him. But it worries me that the children are potentially going to be with them. So it's not a normal clause to have in a trust fund from parents, especially parents who have raised quite an entitled, narcissistic child.
Oh, that's putting it mildly, right? When we talk about the allegations here.
Oh my God. Wow.
Take your children and say, hey, these are my kids. I want to raise them my way without you and their potential stepmother. That is definitely powerful. I think it definitely would have been more of a motivating factor for her to be somewhere else where he was not involved, but because the intent was to hurt him. So what better way than to hurt him than to take away his children, especially if she sees that they are loved and he loves them as well, which is also why she's not, didn't want them to have anything to do with his family.
When we come back, we're going to continue our discussion with our experts, and we're going to talk about what's going on with Jared's children.
Is him trying to help me parent even though he's not here. So knowing that he's here, he's fighting for us, like, keeps me going. Like, we're going to fight for you. We're going to get some answers because you deserve it, and our family deserves to know.
Absolutely.
Kristen Bridegan, Jared's widow.
Our communications were always in writing because there was not mutual trust between the two households. Unfortunately, we're kind of stuck in the middle of that. Jared and I tried so hard not to involve them, not to use them as messengers, not to talk poorly about their mother in front of them. And unfortunately, that favor was not returned. And that was really hard on Jared. He sent so many messages just pleading, like, leave the kids out of it, because his priority was his kids. And that is what mattered to him.
Dr. Judy Ho, the children obviously always in the middle of it. The question is, how did the parents handle that? Well, how does that get handled now? I mean, things have gotten to a much more extreme circumstance. Jared is no longer alive. The children are across the country with grandparents. Mom is locked up. What are your thoughts about the twins tonight?
Well, the separation is definitely going to have an effect. I know that young children, oftentimes we don't realize how much they know, but even from a very young age, they know when there's discord. They know when their parents are fighting. They know when the household is not right. And so right now, the children are probably just trying to figure out.
Help the Bridegan family with their court battle. Gaylord and Joanne Bridegan are now seeking full guardianship of the twins. The case is going to trial. The cost, $50,000. Let's help them win this case. They've raised about half of the money so far. But Dr. Leslie Dobson, let's talk about, it's ultimately what's in.
Wait a second. They shared this fund, but wouldn't share Richard Allen's defense fund? For him to get legal experts, for him to be able to defend himself against, wow. I didn't know they shared this fund. Which, hey, all for sharing this fund, but to know that they would share this fund and not share Richard Allen's fund to have actually like
Obviously, they're fighting people with a lot of money. Help the Bridegan family with their court battle. Gaylord and Joanne Bridegan are now seeking full guardianship.
How is this not the most biased coverage I've ever fucking seen in my life as well? Hey, they're fighting a family that has a lot of money, so we're going to help them. Okay, well, a guy's fighting for his life over a judge in Delphi that is literally strapping. The judge is strapping his own attorneys, not paying them. I can't even fuck with this shit.
Of the twins, the case is going to trial. The cost $50,000. Let's help them win this case. They've raised about half of the money so far. But Dr. Leslie Dobson, let's talk about, it's ultimately what's in the best interest of the children always. And this is such a difficult situation for them. What role do you believe that Jared's parents should have in their lives?
I personally feel like they should have a significant role and sole custody of those children. And it is because there are half siblings that can start to normalize and ground those children back into a realistic family. And based on that trust fund alone in that one sentence, something is off here. We need to secure the mental health of those children until this is fully understood.
Sharonda Brown, I know you specialize in handling and dealing with this trauma. How about the trauma for the twins? How about the trauma for the 2-year-old who was there when her father was shot and killed?
How they may have treated the children and the level of control that their mom wanted to have. So I think
a death penalty case. It's possible if she's found guilty, and again, it's a big if, right? But if she's found guilty, they could also choose to send her to death row. How about from the child's perspective, that scenario?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be hard to prepare for if that becomes their reality, but they're going to love their mother regardless. And I know that the public will have a hard time trying to understand that because of the allegations, but they are connected to her. They're going to love her regardless, good or bad. And they're probably going to want to see her. They're probably going to want to spend time with her. And that's going to be a part of the grief process and hopefully on the people who are going to take care of them to help them understand and to be accepting of the fact that these children are still going to want to love their mother, moreover, because they already have a parent who is gone. So in their minds, hey, we have one parent left. And they're going to find a way to forgive her, and they're going to find a way to make amends. And that's one of the things that I try to explain to people in this field. Even if a child has been abused or if they've seen abuse, they're going to want the love of that biological parent regardless.
Dr. Judy Ho, before we run out of time here, about 40 seconds or so. How about for Shanna Gardner? You go from trust fund child to now behind bars. How's that adjustment?
Dude, Vinny, you make it seem like the fucking woman didn't work. That's not the case, Vinny. That's not the case. You should actually look up the divorce proceeding, and you should actually look up the money stuff. Okay. Jared Bridegan was living with Shanna Gardner while married off of a trust fund and doing God knows what. Okay. Trying to start up companies that didn't work, and they were given an allowance per month to, pay the bills and do whatever. And yeah, interesting. Very interesting how perceiving this, like that Shanna Gardner's some spoiled brat. Well, that's not what the court paperwork show. And it shows that they had a very, very interesting lifestyle. The one that, without a doubt, benefited Jared as equally, if not more, than Shanna Gardner. So, just wow.
Well, if she did what she is accused of, I'm sure that there is an element of surprise for her, because I believe that if she really did what she is being accused of, she thought she was going to get away with it. She thought she was going to be smart enough and she was going to outsmart.
How could anybody think that they're going to get away with this? How would anybody in their right mind think that they're going to get away with this when you are paying somebody with checks? Who even pays with checks nowadays anyway? It's 2022, 23 when this happened. Really whack. But yeah, the divorce proceeding paperwork does not support any of this shit would happen on this channel during this time. It's really unfortunate that so many people saw that because it's just not the truth. And what is the truth is it's in the paperwork. It's in the paperwork. It's in the police files. But until next time, thank you, members, subscribers, moderators, everybody that's involved, anybody that did this 100% deserves to go to prison. No doubt about it. But something does reek. I agree with Jose Baez. Something is seriously off. And something was off during the months of April and May of 2022. Something very, very off. So I thought that Jared, no, that's a different case. I thought that Jared was a law professor. No, that's a different case. All right, guys, till next time.